to do it.
Okay.
Great.
So I can't figure out, I've been practicing trying since 9:30. I can't figure out because I'm using two monitors how to see the presentation, like how to share my slides and see Zoom at the same time. So while I'm sharing slides, if either one of you notice anybody unmuted or like anybody with a, point, if you could just do that. And then when we get to the Q&A, I'll turn my slides off and I can moderate and
don't worry, I'll monitor chat and mute people if needed when you're sharing. Don't worry.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. All right, I'm excited. I am going to start sharing my slides, and then once they're shared, we can go ahead and let people in, but I may ask you to do that because I won't be able to see the screen.
Perfect. Yeah, we have
right,
18 people waiting. Great.
That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Hold on. Why is this not there? It goes. Okay. Okay. You should see my screen now.
Yep, I see it.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
21 people. Can I let them in?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Just going to wait a couple of minutes for everyone to join.
Hello, everyone.
Alana, if you could just let me know when it looks like when everybody's made it in and we've got a settled group.
Good morning. Yes, one last person is joining. So in 1 minute we can start. I think they must be having trouble with their internet because they haven't made it through yet. We can start.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone, from wherever you are joining us, morning, noon, or nighttime. It's a pleasure to have you with us to talk about the Stephanie Ortoleva Legal Internship Program at Women Enabled. There's just a couple of points I want to cover before we start in today's session. The first one is accessibility. We do have CART or live transcription today, and in order to access that, you just need to hit the captions button at the bottom of the screen. It will activate your English CART to show up on your screen. And the second thing is we are going to be giving image descriptions of ourselves. So I'll start out. My name is Gloria Bennett. I'm the program's assistant at WEI. I'm a white cis woman with brown shoulder length curly hair and brown glasses. I'm wearing a rust colored short sleeve shirt, and my background on Zoom is blurred. You'll also be hearing from my colleagues Amanda Spriggs and Alana Carvalho today. And one final note, please just save all of your questions for the end of the presentation. We're going to have quite a lengthy Q&A so that you get a chance to ask everything you want. So just keep yourselves on mute if you could during the presentation, and we'll be happy to answer everything at the end. If anybody has any other access needs, you can, during the presentation, you can feel free to enter them in the chat. But if nothing else right now, we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to Women Enabled International. Women Enabled is an international NGO. It was founded by human rights advocate Stephanie Ortoleva in 2012. We celebrated our 10th anniversary last year, and Stephanie stepped down as our director at that time to offer leadership opportunities to other feminists with disabilities. So this internship program was really created to honor her legacy and the work that she did building WEI and bringing it into the modern world. The candidate selected this year will be our inaugural intern. So this is our very first year of the program, and that's a great opportunity. Like Stephanie, WEI has historically focused on our work on applying an intersectional gender and disability framework to international human rights advocacy. That's really where our work sits. But as the organization has grown and expanded, our work has too, and we now divide really the bulk of our work into three main categories, which is 360 capacity strengthening, movement building and cross-movement collaboration, and advocacy and accountability. And I'll give you some examples of what that means in the day-to-day of our work on the next slide. We use really like a variety of tools to accomplish our goals, and that includes working with partners on the ground to build bridges and access to power for feminists with disabilities. Includes research and documentation, so research studies, publishing reports, submitting, doing submissions to UN bodies. It includes a twin track approach for inclusion of structurally excluded groups, and strategic communications, which can help to reach sort of like a much wider audience and bring people into movement spaces that might otherwise not be able to access them. And on the left here, you'll see this sort of circle of the values that we operate by inside and outside of Women Enabled International. In order to facilitate this work and sort of live by our values of disability justice and intersectional feminism and community, we offer a lot of support to our staff and our interns, and that includes something called Disability Culture Club, where we meet monthly to learn and talk and sort of share community around disability and the experience of disability. Community coffee, where we get to just hang out. It helps to build, some bonding time for a remote team. Staff meetings and staff check-in spaces. So we value open and brave expression of self and ideas, and we welcome people to sort of bring their whole selves and everything that comes with them to the staff and our space. If folks could keep themselves muted during the presentation, it would help. Thanks so much. So that's a little bit about our values, about WEI, and the tools that we use. So let's go on to the work itself. You may have seen some examples of this if you look on our website or follow our social media. But as I mentioned, these are sort of the main areas that we focus our work around. 360 capacity strengthening. So one of the main projects that we have in this area is the Legal Capacity Project, where we work with self-advocates from different regions to develop their legal capacity. And Alana is the convener of this program. So if you have specific questions about that, she'll be able to answer them in the Q&A. We also work on a number of projects and unified efforts in the Pacific region to develop local and regional capacity to address sexual and reproductive health and rights, and to sort of create opportunities for international advocacy within the region. So helping to connect activists within the Pacific region to international advocacy efforts. UN advocacy, as you can see on the right there, there is a photo of some of our partners from Malawi, as well as WEI staff at the CRPD convening in Geneva. The CRPD is the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. So they had a chance to go and meet with committee members and discuss the intersection of gender and disability as it applies and as it exists in Malawi. And it was a really great opportunity. So we do a lot of that, connecting people with opportunities for international advocacy. We work with the Generation Equality process, which is a campaign by UN Women to connect activists, governments, and civil society orgs around women's rights and gender issues. And WEI is heavily involved in this process. We lead in action coalitions, and we coordinate the Inclusive Generation Equality Collective. We are a member of the collective, and Alana also convenes that space and can answer more questions about generation equality later as well. And of course, we draft recommendations and responses to UN committees on issues at the intersection of gender and disability on different kinds of issues. Sometimes I think a recent one included humanitarian crises, which might be of interest to some folks in the room today. And then our movement and cross-movement collaboration. This really is three main areas. We have the Inclusive Generation Equality Collective, which is born out of the Generation Equality process, a group of women and gender diverse people trying to advance rights at the intersection of gender and disability globally. So this is an international activist organization with representation from a variety of areas. And the main work that they've achieved, the phenomenal work that they've achieved thus far, is the Feminist Accessibility Protocol, which again, Alana can answer more questions about later. We also have the U.S. Gender and Disability Justice Alliance, which is a similar collective of U.S. activists working at our intersection and convened by WEI. And we have the Latin American Collective, which is a similar collective working in Latin America. So that's sort of a summary of our work. There are a lot of other projects. If you have more specific questions, we'll be happy to answer those later. But for now, we thought that you might like to hear about our internships from one of our past interns. So I'm going to invite my colleague, Amanda Spriggs, to speak to her experience.
Hey,
Amanda,
everyone. My name is Amanda Spriggs Reed. I am an East Asian cisgender woman in their 20s with long dark hair. I'm wearing a black lace shirt, and in my background, you can see a plant and my law school diploma, as I recently just graduated from law school here in the US. I am currently with Women Enabled. I just started, this is my second week as a legal fellow here through Equal Justice Works. But in the summer of 2022, I was an intern with Women Enabled and had an amazing experience. I got to work on a lot of different projects when I was here at Women Enabled just as an intern. That included writing a report paper on the status of women and girls with disabilities during the Ukraine conflict, which related to our humanitarian crisis work that we've been doing and that this internship is going to have a focus on. I also got to write reports on the adequate standard of living for a report that we are going to submit to the UN on the right to an adequate standard of living for women and girls with disabilities, as well as writing background research for the Legal Capacity Project under Alana, and got to write about the current state of legal capacity laws in several different countries, which was extremely interesting to be able to compare what the state of those laws look like, especially in relation to sexual and reproductive health rights for individuals with disabilities. I also got to work on the Feminist Protocol, which has now been published and is in use. It's really amazing to see the words that I wrote as an intern being used on a global scale in the Feminist Protocol. And my name is even listed in there, which is really amazing as an intern to have your work published and used in international advocacy. I also got the opportunity to participate in some of the focus groups that Women Enabled conducted and facilitated when we were forming the recommendations for the Feminist Protocol. I got to organize some of that data as well as sit in on the focus groups. That was an amazing opportunity and gave me a real depth of experiences. I also had the opportunity to attend the COST, which is the convening of state parties for the conventions on the rights of persons with disabilities. I attended online as I was not able to travel in person to New York City, but one of my other interns for the summer, Emma, was located close to New York City, so she was actually able to attend in person to the event with several other of our staff. So my experience with Women Enabled as an intern was really, really positive. I got to work on a large variety of issues. I got to do everything from research and writing to participating in focus groups to going to advocacy meetings. Also, I really felt like I was part of Women Enabled and got to really participate in the culture and all of our meetings. I never felt like I was left out of anything just because I was an intern. I really felt like my voice was heard and my opinions were taken into account as like a full member of the team, which I really valued. And is not an experience that you always get as an intern. I also am really, really glad that that internship was able to turn into a fellowship position, as I'll be able to stay here with Women Enabled for the next 2 years through funding through Equal Justice Works, which I'm really excited to be working on a new project where I'll be focusing on abortion access rights here in the United States for persons with disabilities. I'll be happy to answer any more questions about my personal experience working as an intern at Women Enabled during our Q&A.
Thanks so much, Amanda. And I just have to say, we're also thrilled to have Amanda back with us as a fellow as well. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Alana, who's going to talk a little bit about the Stephanie Ortoleva Legal Internship itself, the program, and how you can apply.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Amanda. Before I start, I'll visually describe myself very quickly as well. I'm a Latin woman in my 30s. I'm wearing a black and white plaid shirt and a gray sweater. I'm sitting in my home office today in a white background, and I have black straight hair below my shoulders. It is a pleasure to be talking with you today about the Stephanie Ortoleva internship, as I am advocacy advisor at Women Enabled International, but also the intern supervisor. That doesn't mean you will work only with me, not at all. I'll explain that later. But with me as your supervisor, expect for the successful candidate, touching base, check-ins, guidance, making sure that everything is going well with the internship. So WEI is an organization that not only values but embraces diversity and disability. We focus on the intersection of gender and disability, and this reflects within our whole work, not only the work that we conduct as team, but also this internship. So when designing this internship, we wanted to make sure that people with any type of disabilities and anywhere in the world would feel welcome with this position. And how were we able to do that? With flexibility. And that's understanding this, you'll understand more of this position, because the successful candidate will be able to choose if they want to take a full-time internship or a part-time internship. So it really depends if what your preferences are, and also how to fit this within your university schedule. So if you choose a full-time position, you'll be an intern with us for 10 weeks. And if you choose part-time, will be for 20 weeks. So to make sure that the amount of hours for the internship is the same. It's also a paid position. So we offer a stipend of $5,000 for the whole internship to make sure that you have all of your expenses covered and you're able to intern with us without worrying about not having a stipend. And it is also a remote position, so you can be based anywhere in the world and you can have any nationality. You just need to be a law student in your bachelor degree. So this position is not open to LLM, master students in general, or PhD students. So bear this in mind. We're also looking for graduate law students with at least a third of their legal education complete. So what does that mean? If your school program lasts 3 years, that means that by the time you intern with us, you need to have completed the first year. So if your university lasts for 6 years, for example, you need to have completed 2 years by the time you start interning with us. You can apply, and we'll speak about the application process later. You can apply now and then choose to intern anytime from January to December next year. But in your case, if you only complete those 30% requested, then you can choose a period until December 2024 that you would have allowed you to complete that third of your lost studies before. So we can go more into detail about that during the Q&A, but just so you know, as I said, you can be based anywhere in the world, any university. You just need to have completed 1/3 of your legal studies. We're also looking for a student that has a strong interest in our intersection in our work. So women's rights, feminism, disability justice, LGBTQA+ rights, and international human rights law. You don't need to have experience in those. You can bring work that you did in school, optional subjects and classes that it took, also volunteer work. Any examples count. We just need proof that you are interested in our intersection. And as I said, we encourage students with disabilities and students based anywhere in the world to apply. And we provide accessibility and accommodations for students with disabilities to intern with us with no problems. In terms of nationality, as I said, there's no requirement. We just require you to speak English fluently as you conduct work fully in English, and also to overlap some of the working hours with the East Coast of the US, because WEI's headquarters is based in the US, even though not all of our team is based there. I myself, for example, I'm from Brazil, but I currently live in Spain, and I work at WEI with no problems, so that there's no problem there at all. You just need to overlap at least 2 to 3 hours each day with US East Coast time zone. So bear this in mind when applying. And as an intern, what we'll work on. And thanks, Amanda, for providing examples of your work as an intern, and Gloria also gave you an overview of our current projects. It's hard to tell which specific projects we'll work on because of the flexibility of the internship and the fact that you can choose from January to December next year, the period when you're interning with us, if you are the successful candidate. But what I can assure you is that it will have projects related to humanitarian crisis. It will have projects related to movement building, to advocacy, and to research. We have a wide range of projects and skills that we want the student to develop. And the idea is for you to work a little bit on different projects and having the chance to interact with as many people from our team as possible. And how does it work? So you'll have me as your internship supervisor, touching base frequently, asking to know how things are going, if you need any help, having supervision meetings with you, and guiding you throughout the internship. But you also have project supervisors. So you have many different projects in different areas with different partners with different regions of the world as target audiences, and different project supervisors who are the people responsible for making sure that you are meeting your deadlines, you are developing the skills that are meant with this type of work, that everything's going well. So you'll be in touch with many people from our team. You will develop skills such as research and writing, which are very important for future human rights lawyers. But not only that, you also develop many other skills that are very valuable in our field of international advocacy. So if you have any interest in that area, this is the internship for you. And as Amanda mentioned, we always acknowledge you for your work. So if any publication comes during your internship, or most likely after your internship, with your work on it, you'll be acknowledged for your work. And throughout the internship, you will also receive feedback on your work, and you will also have the opportunity to give us feedback, because that's the whole spirit of the internship, that it is a constructive and helpful experience for all of us, not only the successful candidate as an intern. And with that in mind, this is what we bring to you as Women Enabled International. Not only the work that you will conduct, but also our culture as an organization. So in terms of onboarding, we'll make sure you receive trainings that will be helpful for you as an intern with us. So trainings related to gender and disability language, research tools that will be useful during university and beyond, how the United Nations systems work and how to advocate in those spaces are just a few examples of our onboarding process. And also a very fun part as well is the community that we offer. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but many of us in our team are not based in the US, and all of us work remotely. So this is very important. This community building and team building, it's something that we really value as an organization. And we achieve that through, for example, the Disability Culture Club that we meet once a month to discuss how disability and culture relate. And we've had the chance to discuss, for example, disability in science fiction, disability in movies, disability and fashion. We also have Community Coffee, which is a team's open space to talk weekly for half an hour to talk about anything but work and just connect and know each other more. And also as an intern, you're expected to join our staff meetings, our programs team meetings, and also those supervision meetings that I mentioned. So you wouldn't be just focusing on your work, you would be one part of WEI as a team member. And before we go into the Q&A, I'll now go into the timeline that we have for our internship. So very quickly about the application process. Well, today is the information session, and applications will be open from October 1st to October 31st through our internship platform. You'll be able to upload your resume there and answer a few questions about you that will help us analyze those applications and make a decision. And we'll be in touch before November 15, because from November 15 to November 30, we'll conduct the interview with candidates that make to the interview. So expect to hear from us. By December 15, we'll make an offer and start working with the successful candidate once they accept the position about when to intern, if it will be a full or part-time position, and any accommodation and accessibility requirements that they may need to intern with us. And then from January to December next year, anytime for either 10 weeks or 20 weeks, the intern will be with us, making all of this that I mentioned come to life. So I'll pause here. That's what I had to share in terms of the internship itself, and we'll look forward to your questions and the discussion that we'll have.
Thanks so much, Alana. I just want to note before we open the Q&A that everyone who attended today's session or who even registered for today's session will receive an email on October 1st with the link to the application. So please make sure that if you are eager to see it, you look in your spam folders and other folders in your email on October 1st or October 2nd, just in case there's a little delay with arrival. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen so that we can see each other and have a little bit of a conversation. Okay.
Gloria, I received 2 questions while I was speaking. Well, I see one in the chat and one was directly to me, and I'm happy to respond to them while more people send questions as well. The first question is if we would provide sign language interpreters for the successful candidate who needs it. And the answer is yes. We've had interns in the past who needed sign language interpretation, and we would provide that throughout the internship and outside of your stipend. And if you have any follow-up questions, please just ask. And another question from Margarita, which I see in the chat: by graduate school law students, does it exclude students who are doing law undergraduate in countries where that's the norm / possible? Margarita, no, that doesn't exclude anyone, and I'm sorry that our language was not clear. What we mean is that anyone who's a student of law, a law degree, is welcome to apply. We're just not looking for those who have already graduated as law students and may be taking a master class or an LLM or a PhD. Those are not eligible, but if you are based in a country that doesn't have this graduate system, but you are in law school, you are more than welcome to apply.
Thanks, Alana. I also would like to answer one question that I got privately in the chat, which is about, we don't have sign language here today because nobody requested it on the registration form under accessibility, but in the future, if you do have needs for interpretation or captions, whatever the accessibility is, we do commit to providing those for our meeting attendees, as well as our staff and our partners at our meetings. So just to let you know that wasn't offered standard today, but if that is a need, we absolutely provide it. Okay, and I see Praticya with your hand up. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I'm visually impaired, so I mean, I don't know. I couldn't type it so faster. My question is that I'm from Kathmandu, Nepal. Now, is it only actually applicable for those law students, or also for those, let's say, for example, who have earlier completed their studies in literature but are now shifted to disability advocacy, human rights, intersection, by attending feminist courses, by APWLD, DSROI, etc., etc. So those who are working in this field of law and justice, disability law and justice, that's my question.
Thank you, Patricia. Alana speaking, I'm happy to take your answer. As this internship is called Stephanie Ortoleva Internship, to honor the legacy of our founder, Stephanie, who was a mentor to many law students and future human rights lawyer. This internship is focused on students. So you cannot have graduated your studies, I mean, already, and focus on those studying law. That's because that's the reason behind the criteria, because of the mentorship that Stephanie used to do while at the BOEI with law students.
Thank you.
I also see a question in the chat from Catherine Burke. How many interns do you accept per year? I won't have enough credits to apply this summer. but I will for summer 2025. Yes, Catherine, please do. Each year we will accept one student through this program. So yeah, we welcome you next year to apply this year, to intern with us next year, or to apply next year for the following year as well.
Hey everyone, thank you for this opportunity. I would like to ask a question because I'm having a difficulty in typing. So my question was, I have done my bachelor degree in law in 2021. Am I eligible for this opportunity?
I'm sorry, Asma, you cut off a little bit. Did you say that you finished your
Yeah.
law school in 2021?
Yes, so I have done my bachelor degree in law in 2021 from Pakistan. So am I eligible for this opportunity, as currently I'm not neither doing LLM or PhD?
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Unfortunately not. We're looking for students still enrolled in bachelor programs, so students who haven't finished their law studies yet.
Okay, thank you very much.
I also see another question from Nikki Fordy in the chat, asking, can you discuss more of what materials we could need to prepare for the application? For example, are there official transcripts required? I'll answer that, but Gloria, maybe it would be helpful for them to see the questions in the application form. But no, you won't be required official transcripts at this time. We know that this, especially for it to be in English, could be a burden and a barrier for many students throughout the world to apply. So what we request is that for successful candidates, after the interview process, we'll ask for additional information to confirm that you have completed your initial third studies and haven't graduated yet, but for application that would not be necessary. We welcome just your resume and basic information about yourself.
Thank you. Yes, and I'm happy to add a little bit of context in terms of what the application itself includes. We are going to ask for your basic biographical data, your contact information, etc. We're going to ask for a couple of sentences on why you want to work at WEI. So this is your opportunity to let us know about your interest in gender and disability specifically, especially if it doesn't show up in your resume, etc. This is an opportunity to sort of speak directly to that. We'll ask you to upload a cover letter and to upload a resume. So those two documents are the external documents that you should prepare. And then we'll ask you about any accessibility needs for participation in a remote interview. So those are all the questions that will be included on the application. The only documents you need to prepare are a resume or CV and a cover letter for the position. And again, the link to this form will be sent to applicants on October 1st and will also be available directly on our website if you can't find the email. Okay, I see. Gabriella, I believe you were next. Please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you're a little muffled, but we can hear you.
I was wondering if there are any other internships that WEI is offering right now. I'm currently not a law student. I'm a master's student who's studying disability studies. So because I'm not eligible for the legal internship that is being offered, is there any other internships being offered at the moment that I could apply for?
I can speak to that a little bit. Thank you so much for your question, Gabriela. At this point, we have internship opportunities for law students only. That is as I mentioned, it has been the focus of WEI's work up until this point has been legal advocacy and human rights law. So those are the internship opportunities that we have developed and available right now. That does not mean that we might not have other opportunities in the future. And so in order to be updated on those, I would suggest following our social media and following us on LinkedIn, which is usually where we'll post those opportunities even before they show up on our website. So just give us a follow. And if there are any opportunities in the future, we'll be sure to get them out to people.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you for asking. Okay, let's see. I'd like to just answer one of the questions from the chat. Is this internship only remote, hybrid, or in person? So we are a fully remote organization, WEI. We don't have any, we do have offices where people can work when they are in New York and DC, but they are not functional offices. All our team are remote. So there are no in-person opportunities for internships where we could, for instance, sponsor you to be in Washington, DC or anything like that. Malika, you have I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, please let me know. But please go ahead, you have your hand up.
Gloria, first of all, I'd like to thank the Women Enabled team for making this opportunity available to everyone around the world, especially with the racism some people from specific countries experience and visa crisis. It was really a delight to see this fully remote opportunity in my LinkedIn feed shared by Stephanie. And I'd like to ask, do you require for TOEFL or IELTS or any other standardized English language requirements, or would having one give me a significant advantage, or any candidate applying a significant advantage?
I'm happy to respond to that. Thank you, Maliki, for your question. No, we don't require that. We just require that you are the only author of your cover letter and resume or CV. And with the interviews also, we'll be able to evaluate your English level. So we won't ask any English certification for anyone.
And additionally, do you ask for references maybe separately sent to you, or maybe contact information, or as a part of CV?
Yes, we do. At this initial stage, if you want to include references, that's great. It's not a mandatory step in order to apply. But once we have the interviews, we will ask for references, yes.
Yes, and I think as a last question, in my country, law school is offered as an undergraduate at the undergraduate level, with 4-year being I've completed my first year, which makes 25%. But I figure by the time I start, if that's how you calculate it, I'll be definitely over 30%. Can I apply at this stage, and then we maybe can talk in detail if I can hopefully advance to the interview stage?
Yes, you can apply, and anyone in the same situation can apply. So for example, law schools that start in September. So a student just started law school for the first year. Even though you can choose when to intern from January to December next year, if you apply and you are a successful candidate, you can choose to intern with us from September on until December next year. So that would ensure, if you are in a 3-year program, sorry, I forgot to clarify that. So in my example, your law school studies would last for 3 years. If after September next year, you would have completed 1/3 of your studies, then there would be no problem at all applying now to then intern after completing this third. So anyone in that situation is welcome to apply And that connects to a question that we received in the chat. Let me see. Oh, yes, from Bailey, asking if our applicants graduating from law school in May disqualified from this internship. So the same rule applies. You need to be enrolled in school in order to intern with us. So if you are the successful candidate in the application process, you would need to choose to intern with us by May next year. So to end your internship before you finish law school in order to apply, but you wouldn't be disqualified. You would be able to apply. I see Cindy's hand raised. So Cindy, please go ahead.
Hi, yes, you actually just answered my question because I am in third year of law school in Toronto, Canada, and I would be graduating in May. So that was my question, if I could still apply.
Perfect, Cindy. So I'll go back answering some of the questions in the chat. Esperanza has a question, asks if advanced language skills is a main requirement, because it can be a big challenge for some people, as it is for Esperanza. And yes, it is a requirement. So you need to speak English fluently. You don't need to speak it as your native language. English is not my first language, and I speak it and work at WI. But we require that because you'll be required as an intern to speak and write and read in order to perform your duties. So that's why we required fluent English level. Let me see what other questions are there in the chat. Yeah, I saw. Yes, Fiona's question basically saying that she has graduated. She has another study that she graduated to, but now currently an LLB student in law. So if you are a graduate student or law undergraduate student, depending on your country, currently right now in law, you can apply for the position. So you could have done other studies before, other graduate or other masters, but you need to be currently enrolled in school. And I think that links to age restriction, another question that came up. And no, we have no age restrictions to apply for the position. I see, and please, if I pronounce someone's name wrong, please correct me. I see G1's comment in the chat. Yes, if you are already a lawyer or have finished your law school studies, even though it is not an LLM, but it is another type of master's, or you have just finished graduate school, you cannot apply because you need to be currently enrolled in law school in order to apply.
I will clarify one point on that, which is that I know some countries law degree is graduate school. They're considered the same thing. So things like a JD program, et cetera, that's considered being currently enrolled in law school. So you would be eligible to apply. It's just if you have completed sort of a law degree that would allow you to gain access to be a practicing attorney, right? If you're already in school for that and you're a current student, and the outcome of your current degree program is to be able to practice law, then you're welcome to apply for this program. If you are neither studying law with the intent to be a practicing lawyer or advocate, or you have already graduated from a program then you are not eligible. So I hope that offers a little bit more clarity for these questions on eligibility. Okay, I see. Malike, I think you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to go again if no other my friends here want to ask. I don't want to take up so much space from other people, but this question is for Amanda. Do you think having a US legal education played an integral role in this internship, or with any legal education, like say I have a specific knowledge of Turkish law because I'm a Turkish law student in Turkey, would that make a huge difference? And yeah.
Hi, so yeah, I'm happy to answer this question. I think that having a knowledge of law, like going through the process of being in law school, is fairly necessary because you need to understand how to read the law and then interpret it and write about it. But I don't think being able to have a US law degree versus a law degree from another country gives a large advantage, because you're not usually writing just about US law, you're writing about a lot of different countries. Or you're talking about advocacy with a UN focus as your like audience, and UN legal writing is kind of its own style of legal writing that looks a lot different than US legal writing. So I don't think that having a law degree from the US versus another country is specifically advantageous. I think that most legal programs give you the skills to be able to read laws from a country and then be able to interpret and write about them with analysis. That is what is like the most important part, not necessarily which country it is. During my background research that I wrote for Olana for the Legal Capacity Project, I wrote about several different countries' laws, including the US, when it came to the legal capacity laws. So I wrote a paper that looked at both New York State here in the United States, but also in Spain, and in a couple of other countries, including in Africa and the Pacific. So it wasn't necessary for me to have US legal knowledge to write about those countries. It was more about the skill set of knowing how to write about the law. Does that answer your question?
Yes, definitely it does. Thank you for this amazingly detailed response of yours. And I hope if I am hopefully the successful candidate, I would also bring the Turkish perspective and my specific legal knowledge to my country into Women Enabled. And thank you for your answer again.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you so much. And we're excited for you, everyone here, to be applying for this position.
Thanks so much. I also want to add one note to that, which is that many of our staff completed law school outside the US. And so having that aspect, having that experience of international law outside of the country where our organization operates is actually quite an asset to us, and one that we welcome openly, as you can see from the experience of our staff members.
Yes, thanks for mentioning that, Gloria. That speaks directly to my experience at Women Enabled. For example, I graduated law school in Brazil, never lived or studied in the US, and I'm here working at the WEI. I'm very happy with the work that I take on and the projects that I conduct. So definitely not. As Amanda said, each individual will bring to the table the skill set that they learn in law school, but that doesn't need to be the US, or that won't be where your base will not be seen as an advantage in this application process. And yes, I see Gloria answered in the chat, but just in case other people were wondering, someone asked about identifying as a person with a disability, but not being a law student if they are eligible to this position. And no, you need to be a law student, as we mentioned, in order to apply. And thank you, Gloria, for the explanation, as this is an application process open to law students based anywhere in the world, sometimes it's hard for us to understand the specific details of your country related to law students. But no, if you're not eligible to be a lawyer yet, and you are enrolled in school, you're welcome to apply.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Does anyone have, we have a few minutes left. Does anybody have any other questions about WEI, about our work, about the internship itself or the application process? No. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. As I said, next steps, our application for this internship will open on October 1st. I will send the application to everyone who has registered for this session, so you should receive it directly. If for any reason you don't find it, please check our website because it will be posted there and you can apply directly. And we look forward to receiving your applications. If you have any other questions that didn't get answered today, or that come up, or if you need assistance with the application or accessibility to complete the application, please email internships@womenenabled.org, which I did copy on the email I sent out with the slide, so you should have it already. All right, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, and week.
Gloria, one last question got into the chat. So before we wrap up, it was asking if candidates must accredit their disability to apply. And no, we encourage application of law students with disabilities, but it is neither mandatory to be to identify as a person with disabilities in order to apply, or to disclose your disability if you are a person with a disability. So you can mention it if you want to, but there isn't any type of accreditation. And now, yes, thank you so much. This recording will be available. Application is coming soon. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you, my colleagues Gloria and Amanda, for being here with me today.
Yes, have a wonderful week, everyone.
Bye.